Hey guys, welcome back to the Derek Legg podcast. We're here today, episode 35, and we're with our resident guest, my main man, Blake Norton. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, dude?
Dude, I'm glad to have you back. I heard the rumor
Yeah.
on the street was you were a little jealous that Zach Duffy had a third episode and you only had two, so
That's right.
you couldn't let the
I
resident
was like, where's my
title.
third?
resident title couldn't be taken from you.
No, I think, honestly, I'm just like your filler guy. You're like, oh, we don't have anybody interesting.
Well, it's because you're so popular on social media. So.
No, I'm not popular at all. I'm on the most garbage social media out there is TikTok, right?
Well, it's funny though because we've had like people share our stuff and it's all your clips on conspiracies. So
On TikTok? Or was it Instagram?
Well, I think it was Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, because conspiracies are hot right now.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
they've always been hot.
So Blake's got another one loaded up for us today, and I'm interested in
We
it
do.
too. So this will be interesting. I'm more gonna kind of sit back and let you direct,
Sure.
but I'm sure we'll get into it and of course rabbit holes.
Yeah.
That's our main
Just
thing
you,
here.
any questions? I'm first things first, dude. I am not an expert at anything on this. Like, I just look at conspiracies as a hobby,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's important that we all use critical thinking
Sure.
skills. Like that's all that really matters. So, but anytime I talk about conspiracies with anybody, I always ask them like, how deep do you want to go? Because if you're just bringing this up casually,
Yeah.
I'm not going to just word vomit on you. Or like, how bad do you want your world to be rocked? Like, I've met some people and they're like, wait, what? You know, you think, 9/11 wasn't terrorism? Like, they
Right.
haven't even like considered the ideas.
Right.
That a lot of
You've been told
conspiracies-
one thing, and that's where your mind goes.
Right. Yeah. If someone's like, what? Aliens? Yeah, that's just in the movies. It's like, it's a joke. And it's like, well, have you looked at some of the evidence?
They're like, you mean like Men in Black?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like the people that always dismiss a conspiracy theory are like the people who don't know shit about it.
Right.
And they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of malarkey.
Well, yeah, it's a theory.
Yeah, and then they'll watch CNN and believe that. Like,
Right.
okay. So that's what I always ask is like, how deep, how deep does this individual want to go in the conversation and stuff? So I always like these like scenarios where we can just talk unabated about it and just put our opinions out there or like kind of chew on it. Nothing I'm saying tonight is, I'm not saying this is true. It's just saying,
Hey, here's some
like,
thoughts, some
these
theories.
these are some facts that are out there that can kind of help us deduce an outcome or deduce, something
Yeah.
of what happened.
What do you think are the top 3 conspiracy theories in the U.S.?
Well, today I want to talk about the moon landing.
Yeah, because that's definitely
That's
one.
a big one. JFK's assassination.
Because those are the 2 I was thinking.
Yeah, and
The
then
9/11?
9/11. So those are like they span multi-generations. Like people that were born like our age are interested in the
Yeah.
moon landing, and like we weren't even alive yet. And JFK, like we didn't see it, but though I know from my experience, those are the 3 that intrigue me the most. 9/11 being the most interesting one for me because like that one I was in 7th grade. I
Yeah,
saw it
we
on
lived through
TV, right? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight is the power of seeing something live, like on TV.
People that are on audio,
Right.
he just quoted live.
Yeah, like have you ever tried to explain to somebody a magician's trick that he did?
Like,
Like, oh, it was so cool, man. The guy, he had the coin over here, and then he put it over there.
yeah.
You're like, that's not that cool. Like, let me tell you, man. It's like,
You had to be there.
You had to be there. You had to see the magician like do his trick. You're like, wow, that's amazing because I have no idea what he did. That's kind of like that's why you put a big event on live TV,
Right.
right?
It's believable if you see it.
It's believable if the masses see it. Oh my gosh, it happened, right? Not saying it didn't happen or it didn't happen, but there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that go on.
That's the
So
point.
they're shaping your perspective. Your perception of something is what the boob tube is for, that TV, right? And like there's some weird stuff like since we're talking about TV, there's some weird things about TV, right? First off, TV stands for television, right? And people think this world order or whatever you want to tie this to is tied to some ancient like witch-like rituals, some what do you call it? Some occult stuff like
Okay.
devil worshiping, pentagons, stuff like that, Illuminati type things, or the Druids of ancient Europe, or like they were considered like practicing in witchcraft. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's a bunch of malarkey, right? But there's some merit to some of this stuff too, because we know that like you can meditate, and there's like frequencies that like harmonic frequencies that affect the human body and things. So we don't know, but sorry, that was a big digression.
No.
That all of that old druidic stuff, right? It's some key words, and tell me what you think. Like when I say these words, what do you think of? Telling a vision, having a vision, channels, frequencies, broadcasts, like casting spells, right? Like there's a bunch more words that I'm forgetting because I'm going off the cuff here, but like television is telling a vision, television, channels, channeling something, like programming. Tonight's programming. Who's being programmed?
Yeah.
You and me?
Right.
Or is it the TV program? Right, so there's weird stuff. So here we have the 1960s. Let's set the stage for the moon landing a little bit. Because, like, these major events just, like, happen to be caught live, like, especially 9/11. Like, that was caught live, right? It was recorded. It's documented with video. The moon landing, here we are. We know we're in the space race, right?
Mm-hmm. Us and Russia.
Us and Russia, yeah. So lots of progress in rocketeering to make propulsion to get us out of atmosphere, right? The Saturn V rocket that got us to the moon was made by Werner von Braun, the ex-Nazi scientist who murdered, killed hundreds and thousands of Jews.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of that even links to the Holocaust.
It does.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't drawn the dots.
Like pretty much, I don't know the percentage, but a large portion of Nazi scientists that were out doing their rocket programs and other things were just folded into NASA.
Yeah.
Like NASA was basically founded by Nazis, ex-Nazis who went, turned over a new leaf, I guess.
Right.
That's all part of Operation Paperclip.
Right.
You can look into that one about what we did with Nazi technology and Nazi scientists, that we kind of gave them pardons if they came over and continued their work. So, not a bad idea from, like, if you're looking at a 30,000-foot view, because we have some of the best fighter jets, some of the best technology for warfare out there, and that all stemmed from that. So, but that did happen. That's documented, proven, like released documents, official government record of it. So that's where NASA was at the time.
Well, and that's not hard to believe. Like, you could understand that. I'm not saying it's okay.
Yeah,
you could understand that they would do that.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's like it gains a tactical advantage.
Yeah.
But like, they're like the moral ethics of it, like, are not ours to chew on and to discuss and to potentially make a decision. It's all decided for us by these top level guys, right? So, yeah. And I understand there's like a need for secrecy in wartime, and you should probably keep the sleeves, the aces up your sleeves, hidden until you need them. But take that for what you will. But that's where we were. So Werner von Braun, I keep wanting to say it like a German. Werner von Braun created the Saturn V rocket, or designed it, and his team built it, and essentially it got us to the moon.
Quotes.
So whenever I'm talking about a conspiracy, I always say, how deep do they want to go, right? Blah, blah, blah. Make sure I'm not like putting this information out there. There's someone who's just going to throw it away. It's not worth my time. I don't want to argue or debate with anybody. Unless it's going to be intelligent. If they really think they have something out there, like, let's talk about it, But like, let's talk about it to find the truth, not tell me I'm wrong or me tell you you're wrong. So, the first thing I like to do is just define conspiracy. So I wrote the definition down here. Conspiracy, the definition, is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. Right? And then the word theory is a supposition or system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles, independent of the thing to be explained. That's just a general definition of it, but a scientific theory is what a conspiracy, the term conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist comes from. Is it's more of a scientific theory. A well-tested or broad explanation of a natural phenomenon.
Phenomenon?
How much have I drank already? That'll fix it if I drink more. But right, the conspiracy or theory is something that's not like completely proven. It's like
right,
an idea, right? Scientific theory. It's like can't be proven yet. So it's interesting, like when JFK was assassinated, and this was around the same time as the moon landing, right? So, or in that same era. So when JFK was assassinated, the CIA put out a term, conspiracy theorist or conspiracy theory, to like slander and label people who thought JFK was assassinated by our own government.
Yeah, to downplay
it. It's all semantics. It's play on words. They push that certain narrative, and at the time, like they still had control over the media, right? And if you're watching the TV, they're telling you a vision. They're channeling their programming to you. It's interesting word choices.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is weird. So, they're pushing these ideas, and that term conspiracy theorist, like people will say, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy." Oh, so you mean a secret plan by a group of people who want to do something unlawful or harmful?
I think the interesting part of that definition is the unlawful and harmful part.
And like unlawful.
It's only a negative term.
Yeah. It's something, it might not be as harmful. Like if I conspire to steal a Snickers from the gas station, like it's still unlawful.
But like someone doesn't conspire to donate something.
Yeah, I don't conspire.
You're not going to conspire to give me a Snickers.
Yeah, like I'm not conspiring to plan you like the best surprise birthday of your life.
Yeah. I guess I never thought about it that way, is that it has a negative connotation.
It does. It has such a negative connotation. So I was like, where did that come from? Oh, well, it came around the same era as JFK assassination and the moon landing. A conspiracy. Ooh. Like it's already kind of negative because it's something unlawful, it's something harmful. But they dismiss it like, oh, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's a conspiracy. And people don't realize they're doing that. Now, if you understand words,
right?
Like I'm still trying to understand words. That's why I looked up the definitions and I try to understand. And sometimes I misuse words to sound intelligent and I just look like a doofus, right? I'm sure you've had some. We've all tried.
I do that.
Yeah. I tried those calendars where you like flip a word every day and you're like superfluous or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever.
Superfluous. Or I don't know. Is that the word? Superfluous. Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't even know what it means, but like I saw that on one of those sheets. So I have to look up the definition of these words. And I think it's important that I expand my vocabulary. So here I am doing some self-deprecating humor, but really, the word conspiracy is something nefarious. You're doing something unlawful or harmful, and you're a group of people planning to do that.
Right.
Now, if you tack theory on there, it's a conspiracy theory. It's not proven, but like it's so you're just like got your tinfoil hat on, right? It's progressed into that nowadays. So I thought that was interesting. We should talk about that because I've mentioned it on other podcasts, but like I always like to kick off a conspiracy debate or topic like on that. Like,
yeah,
remember
you need to
what that
understand this.
Means. Yes.
Yeah.
People do conspire.
Right.
Groups conspire all the time. Businesses do that. They undercut other people under businesses. They subvert. There's corporate espionage going on. There's paid people who infiltrate corporate groups and spy on them, and they get paid. Like, that's nefarious or harmful. Like, it's unlawful.
Yeah.
So the word conspire, do you believe in conspiracy theories? Like, oh, no, I'm not that crazy. But do you believe that people or groups of people could conspire? Absolutely.
Sure.
It's like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Competitiveness, trying to get an edge, trying to get ahead, trying to beat someone. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what any type of secret service does in like a war. If you're in James Bond, like
Yeah.
He's an intelligence agent. Like, intelligence is just conspiring against your enemies. Same thing. So I thought we'd just go over that definition there. So when it comes to the moon landing, here we are in the 1960s. I can't even remember what year it was because I wasn't alive.
I don't even think my parents weren't even alive. They probably were.
Yeah, it was July 20th, 1969.
Oh, okay. My parents were alive.
Yeah, they were alive. They were young, though.
Yeah, they're 8. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've told people this theory, and they're like, "What are you talking about? I saw it on TV." Like, that's what they're like. That means it was true.
I
Like,
saw the Jetsons on TV as well.
Yeah, yeah. The Flintstones.
Yeah, the Flintstones.
Dude, Ninja Turtles. Dude, there's these turtles in the sewer.
Yeah, I saw it on TV.
They bumped into some ooze, and they're superheroes now.
Yeah.
And they're trained by a rat. I saw it on TV. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and also, Biden won the election because I saw that on TV too.
Right.
All that shit. So that was the year we landed on the moon, 1969. When was Kennedy assassinated? I think JFK was assassinated before, right?
You're asking the wrong dude.
Yeah, he was assassinated in 63. But he put us on that road, right, to go to the moon.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, we will land on the moon." All that. I can't remember what he said exactly. But he basically said we're going to win the space race.
Yep.
And we did, apparently. So here we are, 1969. We're going to launch some dudes up into space and put them on the big orbiting rock that is the moon. And we're going to use some Nazi scientists to get us there. And Russia's doing the same thing. And, like, it's important whoever gets to space, because if we can control space, then you can essentially control the whole globe, right? Like, if you weaponize space, which has probably already been done.
Sure.
Reagan in the 70s, right, and 80s, or it was 80s for Reagan. But I'm all fucked up with my time, so I wasn't even alive, guys. Give me a break.
Cut him some slack.
Yeah, tear me up in the comments. But Reagan authorized the Star Wars program, is what they called it. They named it after George Lucas's Star Wars.
Nice.
That's what the media was running with it anyway. But they launched a bunch of defense satellites.
Wow, it's Space Force.
Yeah,
Right?
Space Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that space has already been weaponized. But they're going to launch into space and the arms race. So there's a lot at stake here. Okay. So was the moon landing faked? Or let me ask you the question. Do you think we went to the moon?
Do I think we did?
Yeah.
I would like to think we did. Mm-hmm. Is that the best way to put it?
No. Yeah. I mean, I think we went to the moon.
I think that now, looking at it as a 32-year-old, I look back and I don't think it was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like, wow. But why did we never go back? Why didn't we make a base up there?
Yeah. Well, the flag was good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently. We'll talk about that flag.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The question is, did we go to the moon? I think the answer is yes. Now, was the moon landing footage faked or not faked? They're two different questions.
That's what we're going to talk about.
That's what we're going to talk about. I think we went to the moon, but we did it in completely different ways. And I don't think, when I say we, I mean humanity, right? Was it America? Maybe, maybe not. But somehow we got to the moon. I think even before 1969, we were at the moon. So, but that's just my humble theory. So, live footage. It was broadcast live. When was the last live event that you watched?
Me?
Yeah. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Was that live?
Super Bowl, NBA All-Star Game.
Sure. So there's quite a few live broadcasts out there. Do you remember when Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl?
I was young, dude, but
Yeah.
I remember it happening, but I don't remember viewing it.
Oh, I remember viewing it.
I'm sure you
It was
did.
live. And it was like titty all of a sudden. Because if you don't know, I think it was, who was it, Justin Timberlake or somebody?
Yep.
Some pop star ripped off Janet Jackson's top and exposed her boob on live TV.
Well, it was like a pasty, right?
Something.
Yeah, I think it was just something covering the one.
It could have been. Or it was a piercing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It happened so fast, and it was live. I'm sure there's footage of it out there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure you can
Excuse me.
Google that.
Yeah, you go Google it, guys, and let us know in the comments.
Unless you have parental.
Yeah, was it full boob or was it pasted up? We don't know. I mean, it's like a lot of things can go wrong on a live broadcast. So during a space race, when like your country's morale is at stake, like who in their right mind, like, would live broadcast something that's never been done before? Also, how in the hell were we live broadcasting that with 1960s technology?
Right. Well, we
Like-
have Pong.
Yeah, you playing Pong? It was just a signal. Like the time it takes for signals to get back and forth too is insane. So that alone, I'm sure there's some fancy explanations out there that someone could explain and do, and like there always is.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, is when you're searching for this stuff, what doesn't show up is almost as important as what does show up. So anyway, how do you, like, why would you live broadcast something that could go so catastrophically wrong? And everything just went right the first time we've ever tried it.
You don't think it was rehearsed here?
Well, they rehearsed as much as they can, right? That's what a science,
to simulate
their
it.
whole job is
Yeah.
at NASA, is to simulate everything. But like, there's so much that can go wrong, and they're like, let's just put this on live TV,
Yeah.
so we can all watch. If all these three astronauts descend down to the moon and crash and burn, we can all listen to their last words together.
Right.
Like, that's just weird. Like, who in their right mind would produce that or like put that on the air at the risk involved of, like, you know, luckily we landed on the moon. Like, but what if we didn't? The demoralizing effect. You remember in 1990s when the shuttle Challenger blew up?
Yep.
Yeah, all of those people, that's a whole nother episode. Those people are still alive, by the way. They all had twins, apparently. Like, I'm not even shitting you, dudes. Like these astronauts, like, they are now like teaching at a college somewhere with a new name. Like, some of them even kept their same name.
Really?
Like, it's not even, they didn't even try to hide it. The Challenger shuttle, if you want a good conspiracy, go look it up. Challenger shuttle explosion in the 90s. Everybody was watching live, and the shuttle blew up.
Right.
And they make those, like, components of the boosters. Like, they make them here in Utah, or they did at the time. And I remember reading about it in school and being like, they traced the failure back to, like, some O-rings or something that were made in Utah.
Jeez.
And I was like, I'm so ashamed that my state caused the
you have done
explosion. Yeah, so stupid. But yeah, we all watched like 12 astronauts just disintegrate in live TV. And like, the nation was like pretty demoralized. Like, everybody was like, holy shit. Like, they're gone. But they're not.
They're still here.
Because they're not going to put live, they don't do it like that. NASA's a complete fake. Like, once you dive down the moon landing, if they're going to fake the moon landing, go look at what else is fake.
Sure.
You want to see some funny footage of NASA astronauts in recent years, like the last 5-6 years, floating around the International Space Station, and they forgot to green screen out their harnesses? Yeah, it's on YouTube. You find it. It'll blow your mind. Like, some guy's like talking to the world, and he's like, hey, I'm here in the space station, and I'm floating. You know, they always do it.
Do you don't think the space station's up there either?
I think it is, but I think the International Space Station is just a hunk of junk floating around in orbit. I don't think there's live astronauts on there.
Okay.
And people think I'm nuts. And then you go watch all the evidence of it. Like, NASA, like, they'll cut to NASA, like, at the control center.
Yeah.
And you see the same, there's a footage of it. They're like, thanks for talking to us, astronaut John or Bob. Because I don't know their damn names.
Yeah.
And it cuts to their control center, and on this big screen, you can see that same astronaut standing in front of a green screen. Or blue screen, sorry.
Really?
Yeah. Like, look into the technology that they're doing, and if you do any type of 3D animation or anything like that, like, this technology has been around for a long, long time, and it's just growing exponentially. So, like, the shit that NASA was doing, like, is now available to me on my home PC.
Right.
So it's just, that's a good rabbit hole to go down to. So maybe we could talk about NASA, we can have a continuation of
there
NASA
you go.
conspiracies. But, so that was my first point, though, with the moon landing.
Why would you televise that?
Why would you televise it live? Oh, because they wanted to tell us a vision. They wanted us to tell something. They needed to program. It was It was a planned programming. Like, see, those words matter. Like, it's crazy that we just don't even think about those words. But an entire generation believed that we landed on the moon.
Multiple generations.
Yeah, and they don't even question anything. So here's some questions I have. Go back if you're watching this. If you're watching on YouTube, sorry, we don't have any visual aids for you. If you're listening, go research and look. Look at the lunar module landing on the moon. Okay. And you've seen the footprint picture of the astronaut's footprint on the moon, and it's like an inch and a half of dust, right? Like dust. The moon is like apparently dusty. It's just like millennia's worth of space dandruff is just on that bitch.
Just settled.
Yeah. So when a rocket comes down to land, like what happens to dust, Darren?
I would imagine it'd get blown away.
It gets blown the fuck away. It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? The amount of inertia and force that lunar module had to do, like you can go look up at the specs of the rocket boosting that thing to slow its descent, because here it is zinging around the moon at tens of thousands of miles per hour, and it's got to slow its orbit and then slow its descent so it doesn't crash and kill 3 people. Okay?
You're taking a leaf blower to dust at that point, or extremely large leaf blower.
And there isn't a single sign of evidence. The ground has not been disturbed in any way. There's not even a crater underneath that damn picture. In all the footage, in all the picture, there's not shit. Does science work different on the moon?
I've never been there.
Yeah, so I'm not saying did we go to the moon or not? I don't even know. Was the footage they're showing us visual? Fake?
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's fake. Like that fact alone, like that's a home run. Like, why is this even a theory anymore?
Yeah.
The pictures you're showing us are faked. Now, whether we went to the moon or not, we're
not contesting that.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't go to the moon, or if you showed us fakes, then like now we have to question, did we even go to the moon? But like these are fake pictures. Where's the crater? Where's the burn marks? Where's the scorch? Where's the dust being displaced? It's not there. Right? Also, there's actual footage they showed, the stuff that aired live. Right? You can hear the astronauts talking over the comms. Houston, this is me. I'm the pilot. I'm coming down. Burning, 23 degrees, right? 21 degrees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You all heard it. They show you in elementary school.
Right.
Right? And then Houston's like, got you that. There's no delay between any transmission. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to work a military radio.
No,
like, if you go up to a top of the hill and I'm at the top of the hill, like, our radios still won't work. Like, they won't work. If I go down into a gully, like, not going to work. If I, like, hold it up like this, if I bend the antenna, maybe it'll work, then it works. I've done some weird things with military radios.
Yeah.
And they got to work. So it's like, I don't know how they have such reliable communications in the 60s when here I am using an outdated standard Marine Corps issue radio from the 80s.
Right.
And it still works like shit.
Yeah, 2 decades later.
Yeah, so like what? Why? What? And like there's another factor of this too, the technology they used in the 60s. There's records of NASA scientists saying in documentaries and in questionnaires, like on a question panel at some, space camp, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're asking, like, why don't we go back to the moon? And they're like, we basically lost all the technology from the 60s.
Right, I've heard that.
You've heard that one?
Yeah.
Like, it's out there. There's footage of it.
How do you lose technology
from the 60s? Like,
60 years later?
So we have to relearn how to go to the moon?
Yeah. Von Braun, dude, he was the key, man.
Yeah. We lost access to all the Nazis.
Yeah. No more Nazis.
I guess we just need some genocidal maniacs to come and make us more technology.
There you go.
So, yeah, it's a pathetic excuse, right? So here's this dude sitting on top of a rocket as it's descending from tens of thousands of miles, hundreds and hundreds of, like, I think it's like 300,000 kilometers away is the moon or some shit. Really far distance. The furthest away. Yeah. Yeah, Mal, can you look away? How far away is the moon?
Oh, I guess you've got your...
I have it right here, but I'm ranting. I need my energy.
Do your thing, I got you.
Oh, she's got me. All right, so the moon's that far away, and the transmission, no delay, back and forth. Houston, pilot. Houston, pilot. Houston, pilot. Like I can't even get 5G
Yeah.
halfway around our own planet. Like
I can't even get 5G.
it's bullshit. Yeah. So then he's on top of a rocket, right? And there's other scientists. He's done so much rocket research. He's seen so many launches. Okay. And inside the lunar craft, there's still atmosphere. Plus that thing is shaking. So sound is relevant. Like sound only doesn't apply in a vacuum, right? But he's not in a vacuum. He's in the pilot's seat of that module. And yeah, the rocket was putting out so much sound, so many decibels. It was around 140 to 150 decibels. Do you know what a rock concert is? What was your guess?
I was gonna say that's like a gunshot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're loud. If you were like standing at a rock concert, what do you think the decibel count is?
120.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, good. Yeah,
I'm that good.
Yeah, you're that good. Yeah, dude, nice guess. So that's right on. 120 is a decibel, or sorry, 120 decibels is a rock concert. So here's this guy, cool as a cucumber, 300 meters, 400 meters. Beep. Yeah, like you could hear a pin drop in the cockpit. Like, oh, what was that? Someone dropped a pin. Anyway, there's a rocket burning to save our lives. Like, you can't even hear it. Like, the amount of radio static, a garble that would come over that thing. Like, if you had 140 decibels right next to this microphone or in this room, this microphone would be completely useless.
Oh yeah,
I'd be like,
drowned out. Right.
Can you hear me? Like, it would just be gone. So that's something weird. Also, the dust footprint they showed, like, that was taken like right out of the lunar module. It's like, why was there even dust? If there's that much force stopping this, like, however many ton lunar module from coming down. I'm like, oh, the gravity's lower on the moon. It's still physics applies. Those speeds.
That doesn't mean science doesn't exist.
A rocket still has to slow you down. So, like, energy is never, like, created out of nothing. It's always transferred. Right? Like, we take fuel into our engine.
Right.
And we combust it. We add sparks to it, and it blows up. It changes form and pushes pistons and machines.
Right.
Like, it's the same thing with a rocket. There's force coming out. We have to create that energy, so it's got to dissipate stuff. It's just simple science here. Is debunking this entire thing. There's also some footage or some audio that's leaked probably in the last 10 to 15 to 20 years. I don't know when it leaked, but it was Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin talking back and forth to Control, to Houston. And they're on record saying that there are other craft following us, and there's craft on the edges of craters. They're in a crater, and they saw a craft landed on the edge of the craters looking at them.
While they were on the moon?
Yeah. Huh. So my theory is this. The footage and all that, the pictures and some of the audio was faked. It was produced like in a Hollywood studio to television, to us, to hide the truth. I mean, anytime the government does anything or there's a conspiracy, right? There's probably multiple reasons why they're doing something. Like anytime we go to war, we want to tell the public the simplest version of that. Like, oh, we're going to war because Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
Oh, we can't let mass destruction happen.
Right.
Like, that's any good human's going to say that. Like, we don't want mass destruction. So, yeah, let's go. Mm-hmm. But really, there's like 17 different reasons, you know. Because we want to develop our technology. Because we want to give our soldiers something to do. Because we want to like have all the corporate interests get filthy fucking rich off of developing new technology and selling it to us at high value.
Right.
So we can use taxpayer dollars to enrich them and buy it under the table, get us money. Oh, and then also we want their oil. Oh, yeah. Also we want their opium in Afghanistan. Like we've chatted about this. You know. Also we want their lithium in the mountains. Like there's like 10 reasons to go to war. Like the Russia and Ukraine right now.
Yeah, so that happened today.
Yeah,
right? Putin invaded today.
Do they invade? I'm behind.
Well,
or they
like
attacking.
Yeah, so I've seen like fighter jets and stuff, like shooting rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that's invading, right?
Yeah, I mean it's preparation for an invasion.
Yeah.
And to me, invading is like mechanized troops or boots
men
on the ground.
Yeah.
But
I don't know that they've actually crossed the border, but
gotcha.
But
Because when we invaded Iraq, we defeated Saddam Hussein's Air Force in like a day. Like,
yeah,
okay, it's over. And that's probably not accurate, but it was very quick and decisive, and we bombed the shit out of all their strategic targets before we committed troops. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're doing.
Taken out. Well, I know that I shouldn't say I know that. I'm pretty sure that they were looking
Yeah.
at or they were attacking an air
Yeah.
field.
And like people need to understand as well, like Ukraine used to be part of Russia,
Right.
and a lot of they speak Russian.
That's the Cold War. Yeah.
So if Russia's invading, they're not trying to like kill the
Demolish
Ukrainians.
them.
Yeah. They're not going to go demolish the land they
Yeah,
want to take.
you'd hope not. Yeah.
Yeah. They still have an infrastructure and an economy and everything that they want to envelop into them. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. That's just what war is
It's just
for.
the case. Yeah.
You take over. So I don't know how we got on war, but what were we talking about before that?
Reasons you would go to war.
Oh, it's the reasons you do anything.
Yeah.
Or like these conspirators, the cabal or the secret space force or whatever it is, the shadow government, all viable options. But like I say them with disdain because they're like so frowned upon.
Right.
Like it's almost it's like a joke to say them. But they're like so. I also say it with disdain because it's so blatantly obvious to like anybody who knows how to critically think. You're like, something's not adding up here. So we can't like pin down an answer, but like, if it looks like shit and it smells like shit, it's probably shit,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, you're just laughed at a lot, or people just discredit what you're saying because. No, like I don't understand it. So, interesting. If you feel that way, if you feel like this is a joke, put it in the comments or come talk to us. Maybe we'll get you on in a Zoom call and just destroy your opinions here. Yeah. So there's that. They saw a craft on the edge of the ships or the lip of the crater, right? Is what they said. So. There's also lots of really weird footage from I think a couple more Apollo missions, but. If you speed it up times 2, then it's like normal, and it looks really weird. These astronauts bouncing around on the moon. But if you slow it down, it looks like they're in low gravity. They're like, whoa. But if you speed it up, it just looks like a guy trying to play hopscotch in a thick-ass spacesuit. You're like, what's going on? So that's fishy. Also, there's a lot of footage of astronauts on the moon like falling over because they sent multiple Apollo missions back later to the same Hollywood set, apparently.
Yeah.
And the guys are like falling down like really weird. And people are like, well, it's low gravity, so they're going to fall. Like, yeah, it's not that they're falling. It's how they're falling. They're falling like something's lifting up their hips. Maybe like those movie harnesses they use nowadays.
Yeah.
Maybe that came from somewhere, So go, I'm not going to tell you if that's right or wrong, but go be your own judge and go
look
watch
at
it. Yeah. Just look up astronauts falling down wires, ? Astronauts wearing wires. Like, I don't know, wearing harnesses or something like that. Yeah. So you'll find that. Also, another scientific reason why people don't believe the moon landing happened is because of a belt of radiation around the Earth. It's kind of like a donut shape. Like if it wrapped around the globe, it would be shaped like a donut. So on the poles, it sinks in to the North and South Pole, and the Earth is in the middle, and it forms this donut-shaped belt around the Earth. And it's like it's electromagnetism that catches like radiation, and I'm probably not explaining that right. Like we need a Bill Nye the Science Guy episode about it. But it's a belt of radiation. And some people are like, oh, it's completely fine. It's not as bad. It's there for sure, but it's not as bad. It's like maybe getting your chest x-rayed like 20 times. It's like very low radiation. So that's why the 1960s astronauts could pass through it. But other people are like no, like if you pass through that much radiation, you'll die, or you would survive for a couple more days, like nuclear fallout victims, like in Japan, like they survived for days and weeks and then just died due to radiation poisoning,
right?
Over exposure. Same thing with Chernobyl. People that were exposed to the radiation, like it took them days, weeks, sometimes years to die from the radiation poisoning. And so it's like, why wasn't that manifest in Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and the other guy that no one talks about that I don't know?
That's probably the technology that they lost.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, the magical wand that gets rid of your radiation. So people are saying, well, it's impossible to pass through that radiation belt and not die or have side effects due to radiation. Like these guys would have been blasted with it, because to get to the moon, you have to go through that Van Allen radiation belt. So that's a big point of contention in this particular conspiracy. Like,
yeah,
why would we fake the moon landing? That's a big thing that they're talking about. There's even video footage of a NASA rep, and I don't know if it was NASA directly. It looks like it was like a production, like a NASA production. Like they hired some other guys to make a video that would be published to like public schools or something. But the guy's wearing NASA clothes. It's like NASA sponsored. And he's talking about this craft they're making. It's like a telescope that they're shooting out, and it's all dramatic. And he's like, yeah, we have to like consider the weight of it and all this shit. And we have to consider then getting past the radiation belts, and it could damage components. It could fry the systems. It could do all this stuff. And it was like, and here they are acknowledging how dangerous and deadly this belt is to just hardware and electronics. And it was like, is that the technology you lost?
Right.
You know?
You're like, we've done this before.
Yeah, like how did they land on the moon if the radiation belt didn't, fry the shit out of all their components?
Or learn something from it when you went through it the first time.
Yeah, like why have we not already got this figured out?
Right.
Like why are we still here this was in the 90s, most likely, or early 2000s based on the footage, the quality of footage. So you're like, okay. So why are we refiguring this out if we didn't? So like, what are you doing with our tax dollars, first of all? And why are you lying to us? So that one's up for debate too, because some people think it's not a NASA video, some people do. And like there are people and there are algorithms and bots that are run by computers, and there are also people who are paid to go and debunk these things.
Yeah.
To make it sound stupid. And like go type it in Google and see like the first like 6 links that pop up. They're all like, can you believe people think this is real? Like they're trying to make it sound stupid. Discredit, yeah. So that's a big one too. And they flip-flop back on their positions. They're like, oh, we do have a radiation belt. Oh, it's not deadly. Oh, it is deadly. And they're like, oh. So, why didn't the astronauts die, or why were they not affected by it? If the science is telling us one thing, we have too many things of science saying different things. So,
yeah, it's got to be one or the other.
Exactly, right? It's kind of like with COVID. Like science is different based on where you live in the world.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, that's just called politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not science at all.
Right.
Politics are different based on the country you're in. So, and they're saying the COVID science is the same. Well, COVID science it's different here, and then in Australia it's different. So like, oh, you're not talking about science. You're talking about politics.
Right. Get the word right.
But depending on where you stand on the globe, science is different. Yeah, get out of here.
Even your political stance can change that.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's just bullshit. So, we talked about astronauts falling. Oh yeah, we talked about the technology. Their communications are just
your radio signals and
just no delay, no lag, no latency issues. Like even with the radio, like it takes time for radio frequencies to move through, whatever. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we have walkie-talkies now, we can't even get to work half the time when we go out hunting. So
yeah, I guess there's like a lot more factors in an atmosphere. Maybe it's different when it's in the vacuum of space, but who knows?
yeah, dude,
I'm not a
I
scientist.
barely graduated high school, guys, so
Yeah,
don't be judging me on this.
I still got to work a job. Can't dedicate my time. That's what NASA's there to do. Apparently, I can't do NASA's job. So,
well, you shouldn't question them.
oh yeah, that's right. I saw it on TV. So where did the technology go? That was my next point. It's like, how do you lose that?
Right.
You know,
When I heard that, I'm like, that's got to be the dumbest argument I've ever heard.
where'd it go? How'd you lose it?
Yeah, I'm like, guys, we're 50 years down the road. I think we could.
The guys are like, you're the new guy? Like, this is back in the 60s. They're like, hey, you're the new guy? Yeah, we're never going to tell you our fucking secrets. Like 1971 goes by. Come on, Hank, tell us the secrets.
Well,
nah.
So let's just say this was a movie set, and the whole thing was rehearsed and it was produced. How do you keep it quiet through that many people?
Dude, this is the biggest misunderstanding that people can't get their head around. How do you keep a secret? Like, it's impossible for the government to keep a secret, is what people think. It's not.
Yeah, I guess it's not.
Everything is imagine a honeycomb.
Well, think about everything that happens every day that's...
Yeah. Imagine a honeycomb like the one behind you on the wall, right? Like, you live in one of those honeycombs. Like, you might work at a secret Air Force base, like a Nellis Air Force base, and you go scan your card and scan your eyeball to get into work, and you can't talk about anything at work with someone, or you'll lose your job, you'll lose your livelihood, they'll slander your name.
Yeah.
They'll destroy your credit, like on a financial level. You won't be able to bank.
So like deathbed.
Like social deathbed.
Yeah.
And then there is like extreme case, like where they'll actually kill you.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Right.
I guess you just off them.
Yeah.
You just get the Clintons to off them.
Right. Like the guy, his name's Bob Lazar. You probably heard him. He was on Joe Rogan. He's made a lot of waves, but he worked at Area 51.
Yeah, I think I have listened to that one.
Yeah, he worked at S4, Site 4, and Nellis Air Force Base, where they were doing a lot of anti-gravity work, right? Like, that's a whole other thing. Like, we have anti-gravity aircraft. Like, I've literally met people, like, with 20 years experience in 3-letter agencies. They have no reason to lie to me. They gain absolutely nothing. Like some sick bastard, like just deciding on a random Thursday after working with someone after a year to completely lie to them. It doesn't make sense to me. So, and he told me he's seen them with his own eyes. He's seen the craft. Like, he knows the guys that fly them and work on them. And like pointed them out to me too while we were looking through some night vision. Like, I've seen them. You can go watch them in the sky. That's a whole nother topic. But like, this is real stuff if you're listening. And people will be like, "Oh, you're crazy, man. Prove it." Like, okay, come with me. Like, first off, I need to get like a couple grand so I can go get some night vision.
Yeah. You want to donate some night vision to us?
Yeah, like I'll go invest in some cameras. Like, because I've wanted to do this, because I did do it one time. Right, and then I saw it as a Marine, just in Utah training, in my reserve unit, like looking up in the sky through a toilet paper tube, your little PVS-14 night vision, and I'm seeing these 3 dots zip around the sky, like I'm playing that pinball game on your PC, everyone had on their home computer.
Yeah.
I'm watching it fly around. I thought it was a plane at first, and I was like, no.
Are you 2 or 3 drinks in at this time?
Oh, I'm 0 drinks in. I'm wide awake, holding a rifle in my hand, too afraid to sleep because I'll get my shit pushed in by my sergeant.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, I'm like wide awake. It's like -3 on Camp Williams, Utah, just freezing in the high desert, like at night, 2 a.m. And I'm seeing these 3 lights fly by, and I thought it was a plane. And I couldn't see it in my naked eye. I could only see it in the infrared. And I'm watching these 3 lights zip around. I'm like, I don't even hear a plane. And it's going so fast. And I was like, I don't hear a helicopter, because on military bases, you hear planes and helicopters quite a bit. Even at Camp Williams in Utah, if you're not familiar with Camp Williams, they have some Apache. I think they have an Apache unit, the Army does. It's an Army installation, and they have some Blackhawks close by, like some units that fly those. I know of people who actually fly those. So I'm like, it's not a helicopter because I would hear it.
Yeah.
You know, like according to Tom Segura, he's like making fun of Steven Seagal. He's like, hey, you see that helicopter? Yeah, I know it's a helicopter. Gotta go skip. Like, oh, whatever. It's a funny joke. But I didn't hear that. And I was like, oh, it's probably really high in the air. It's probably a plane. But it was moving so fast, and I kind of like planes, even though I was a grunt. I'm like, damn, that thing is hauling ass. And then I started watching it closer. Then I got what's called a PAS 13, I think that's called, PAS 13. It's basically the Luke Skywalker binoculars.
Okay.
Right? And it comes into a monocle in the center. And it's like, it's super lightweight. And you're like, I picked them up for the first time, and I was like, whoa. Because they were so light. I was like, holy shit. And we carry those around, and they have like double A's. Like two, I think it was 4 double A's. Just pop them in, super easy. It'll tell you a compass azimuth. Like as you turn, it will tell you
that's cool.
the azimuth like you would if you were holding a compass.
Yeah.
You can record. It's thermal, so it's like you can do white hot or black hot. They're really cool. Really, really expensive too.
Yeah, we should get some.
We should really get some. I mean, they're military grade. That was like the coolest piece of equipment I ever had the luxury of touching.
We got to figure out a reason why Blue Form needs those.
Yeah, it's a tax write-off. We should definitely find it. It's work-related.
It's work-related.
But then I pulled that out. I was like, oh, yeah, I have PAS 13. And I was watching them through there. They were too hard to track. But for this happened over like 10 minutes. And I'm like the only one awake. I'm like trying to wake up I'm like, I don't want to wake these guys up. But then the 3 dots split and started doing these crazy maneuvers, like ding, 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 like all over the place. So then I didn't realize what it was. I was like, that's weird. Then I get out of the Marine Corps years later, and I'm seeing other people post footage of this. And I've bumped shoulders with some other agency guys at this point, and they're telling me that we have this technology, and I'm piecing it together, and I'm like, 4 years ago, dude, I saw this through my night vision. I saw the technology that Bob Lazar was talking about. Maybe, I don't know if it was exactly that, but it's the same stuff he's talking about. So really interesting things. So yeah, it's like, where did the technology go? Well, it's all black projects. Like that's why they lost it.
Right.
Like, it's so stupid. So sorry, back to the moon landing. That was just a tangent. Apologize. Also, all the pictures of the moon landing, I can't even talk.
Moon landing.
The moon landing, all the pictures of them on the moon, there are no stars in the background, in the backdrop. And this one I don't think is as strong as some of the other ones, because some of the things, it was the apertures, it was the lenses they were using, it was the cameras they were using at the time. Like they couldn't allow for that fine amount of light to come into the lens or something, which is likely, but it is kind of weird. It's like if you're in space, and I don't know, is the moon just so bright that you can't see? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Can't see the stars. Like where, if you're on the moon, like do you look up, you just see a black void? There's no stars.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a point people argue back and forth.
And you're like, well, when you're looking into a black sheet, there's probably no stars.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when there's a big backdrop, they forgot to take a toothpick and poke all the star holes, like they did on the set of Star Wars. Yeah, the next point I had here, the flag.
Yeah,
the flag they
the
post.
Flag's the big one.
Yeah, it literally, like they posted it. No one's touching it. No one's near it. You're in a vacuum. There's no air. So if you wave your hand, it can't cause a chain reaction. Like if I put a candle right here and like waved my hand enough, it would blow out the candle because of air.
Because of air.
There's this thing we breathe called air. It's not there on the moon. So how the hell does a flag just start going like this?
Start waving.
Yeah, that's weird. So they post the flag, and they're like, oh, because it's zero gravity, it like stays up, and they had to like they make like an L-shaped thing that holds the flag. I don't know, but it's like fluttering in the wind. So that's like curious,
yeah,
right? So go check that out. Also, after like seeing some of the pictures, they noticed that there's two sources of light.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah, because there's like shadows going this way, and then one shadow is like leaning that way, off.
And I'm only aware of one in the universe, source of light.
Yeah, I don't know if we have two suns, like Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. Tatooine has two suns. Are we really on Tatooine? That's the next conspiracy we should talk about. Is this Star Wars? No. So yeah, that would indicate that there's some sort of production set with lighting from different angles.
Yeah.
Let's see. Some of the pictures too. They found like evidence in the pictures of like identical patterns in like rocks. Like imagine you're standing in a desert with like this field of like rocks. Just like a rock field. Like, do you think there would be any patterns that would be identical anywhere in that field?
Not just a bunch of random rocks.
No. The odds would be so low for any type of identical shape or path to be. But in the NASA photos, there's like tons of identical like patches of rocks. Like they were copy pasted in there.
Yeah.
Or doctored. Like you'll literally see the exact same rock like in a different picture from a different angle. Like it's right there too. You're like, how are there two? Are there any rocks on the planet? Like if you picked up a random rock on a hike,
yeah,
would it be identical to another one?
Probably not.
Probably not. Like that would be some crazy shit if it was. So that's another thing that's like, hello,
right?
It's obvious. There's another rock that has the letter C carved into it.
Really?
Yeah, like it was a kind of a bigger rock too. So I could see that's how they kept track of certain things on the set, is labeling them. Because that's what they do on movie sets, you know, prop. Oh, what prop is that? Oh, that's prop A31.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
get it.
I've been in a movie. I know.
Yeah, you have? You have been in a movie? What movie
yeah.
were you in?
Well, we don't talk about that. I'm just a movie star. I thought you knew that. You didn't know that? Oh, Amanda's going to love this part.
I guess you're so famous that I don't know you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. But yeah, then there's just lots of evidence there. But what blows my mind too, so we basically talked about all the evidence of the moon landing. So was anything stood out to you like you hadn't heard before?
I mean, the only things I'd really heard of was the light, the flag, the dust thing I'd never heard of. Yeah, pretty much that, I guess.
The rocket, yeah,
the stars.
The stars.
I never thought about that.
So guess what? They show some video footage of astronauts on Apollo 13 or 11, Apollo 11. The one where they landed with Buzz Aldrin. He's like, one small step for man. The boots they wore do not match the picture of the footprint that they show. It's just like this flat sole. Like, it's really iconic photo. And then they show the footage of the astronauts bouncing around, and the issued astronaut boot they had doesn't have a flat sole. It has a heel and an instep, like a military boot.
Yeah.
And they're jumping around on the moon with it. And you can go see it. And it's like in the museum. They show the same boot that Buzz Aldrin wore or whatever. And it's like got a completely different sole than the one that they put in the picture. So.
Seems fishy.
Yeah. Like I've been telling, there's been a reoccurring theme in some of my conversations recently. It's just like life is in the details. Like the details matter.
Yeah.
If you're going to get into crypto, you don't just up and get into crypto. You go research the details.
Right.
And select something. You customize your sandwich at Jimmy John's. It's details. Like, if you can't customize the details, why are we even alive? If you can't, pick the shirt you want to wear each day. Like, what? It's all about the details everywhere you go. All the time. So same thing with these conspiracies. It's like these little tiny details matter because there are certain things that you do. Same thing with you know, the Alec Baldwin scenario where he shot that camera lady, or she shot the producer or whatever.
Yeah, on set. Yeah.
Yeah, the details matter, not to the general public, not when they're trying to tell us a vision, but he says he did one thing, and he says what he says, and he glosses over some details. But there's a bunch of people on YouTube that have already debunked his entire testimony because they simply picked up, they understand firearms. Like, there's like 4 firearms YouTube channel that have said, hey, this doesn't add up because of the details of this specific firearm that you used. The things you claimed you did will not actually work the way you said they work because of the details.
Yeah.
And the mechanisms and the function of that Western-style pistol. And so it is incapable of doing what he said.
Yeah. I
don't know all the details, right? But I've listened to the video because it's about the details.
That's the new Jack Reacher. Have you seen the new Jack Reacher?
Yeah.
That's what he always talks about.
That's a great series.
He says
the details matter.
Details matter.
The word choices.
I keep telling you, details matter.
Yeah. The word choices I use, at my day job, I'm in sales, right? So if I use the word price, that's kind of a trigger word. But if I use the word, instead of price, I say, I'm like, we'll see how low I can get the price, or like, is that a fair price for you? But if I say instead, is this a good investment for you to make? That's different. That's a little detail, right? Price, investment. Yeah, you writing that down for the sale?
Yeah. For the safe store.
Yeah, because people talk about firearms as an investment all the time, right?
Well,
they don't lose their value.
When we talk about prices of safes, because some of the safes in there can get pretty pricey, I'll usually say it's like an insurance policy, but like even that, people don't love insurance policies.
No.
But if you said it's a good investment,
yeah,
I
same
like that.
Investment. Instead of saying a low price, I'm saying, let me show you how low I can do this for you. I don't even say price.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have someone come over or come into the store, and I'll show you how low I can get your safe. How low I can do this for you. Something like that. Like, you're just changing those trigger words around. It's not always like 100% go-to, but those details, they really matter. They add up when you have a tiny detail. You know, like same thing with a pilot. You know, he makes a 1 degree course correction after 100 miles.
Right.
That's a big mistake. So those details added up equals something. That's what we're pointing out here tonight, if you guys have been following along. All these little details about the moon landing, they add up to something. And what is that something? I think it's overwhelmingly obvious that what they showed us and the vision that they tried to tell us, the telling us a vision on the telly, was faked. Now, did we actually go to the moon? That's another topic. That's another question.
Do you think so?
I think we did in different spacecraft, in different times, and I don't think it was us. I think Nazis got there first. Or Nazi remnants, I should say. I don't think it was Hitler flying Nazis up there. Yeah. But it was remnants of them. That's a whole nother topic too. It's like secret bases in Antarctica that we took over that were Nazi bases. You know, Nazis were still like remnants of Nazis. They fled to South America.
Yep.
Why? Because it's close to Antarctica, and they had bases in Antarctica. Like, there's a reason why a lot of like Indiana Jones films or there's other movies and other content out there that shows the Nazis looking for like relics in history and like pursuing technology. It's because that's what they did. They did that for real. Right. And they were successful in a lot of ways. So much so that we forgave war criminals so they could come work for us. So when you go, Nazis in Antarctica, Nazis in the moon, Nazis with UFOs.
Nazis in South Africa.
Yeah, look at the details and then see if you scoff at me.
Right.
Because if you're a critically thinking individual and you know that 1 + 1 is 2, and if you add enough equations up, 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 3 is 3, or whatever, you keep doing this math, it adds up to the grand sum total of something, and it doesn't point at anything that you think is normal. You just got to keep adding up these details, and they start meaning something. So to finish up the moon landing thing, look at Buzz Aldrin. Neil Armstrong died many years ago, I'm pretty sure. But Buzz Aldrin, there's video footage of him.
You know, someone's going to be like 2015.
Yeah, someone's going to correct me. This whole podcast, like, you could correct everything I'm saying. The point is I'm getting the ideas out there, and you can go research this on your own. And, like, I'm sitting here saying it's in the details, yet I don't know those details. I know a lot of the details, but, like, you know, I'm not a human almanac. Like, I still have a life and work and, like, and hobbies and, you know, family I got to deal with. So I'm doing the best I can.
Sure.
So, yeah, go check me on that. But go watch some recent videos of Buzz Aldrin. He's interviewing, like, an 8-year-old girl who, like, won the raffle to go ask Buzz Aldrin a question. And she's like, why haven't we gone back to the moon? And he just basically straight up tells her, he's like, yeah, we never went.
Really?
Yeah. And like, the government was like, it's Buzz Aldrin. He's just getting old, and he's saying wacko things. But, like, here he is saying that. So Buzz Aldrin, like, the astronauts went to the moon, and then they went on this tour. Yeah. And they, like, were on these panels, and people were asking them questions about the moon all the time. And they're asked questions about, like, could you see the stars? And they're like, yeah, I could see everything. It's, like, the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. Yet the photos say something different, which is weird. But, like, then they're like, oh, it's the camera. So, like, there's a lot of conflicting information in those panels they were on. A lot of weird shit.
Well, they all got to keep their story straight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so they kind of slip up. They get exhausted. They get frustrated. They look agitated all the time. Like, you think you'd be pretty proud of going to the moon, and you'd be ready to go talk about that. You might be looking at Earth and all of humanity and understanding where we are on this giant rock floating through space. You might be a little more grateful about it. And they were like, they hated it. You could tell they were extremely uncomfortable doing it because they were all lying. Buzz Aldrin, like, as soon as he got back, like, he was on this steady decline. He got into drinking, drug abuse, like, went off the deep end, basically, into some major depression because of what he had to tell people. How he's been carrying this lie for, like, 46 years. And this is, like, I think it's conjecture. This one is fishy because we don't know. I can't find any, like, credible sources on this one. All the other stuff we've talked about is, like, either video slip-ups of NASA or, like, actual documented photos from the moon landing, right? So it's all pretty solid.
Yeah.
But this one is, like, no one saw him say it. He didn't say it publicly. It's not on the record anywhere. It's not videoed. But he said, like, how he's been carrying this lie for 46 years. We didn't go to the moon. He's like, we got there and we had to get turned around or something. He says something else, but he said there's basically aliens on the backside of the moon and we couldn't land on them. That's why we didn't go to the moon, is what he says. So that to me is another thing that kind of puts another nail in the coffin. It's like, why would like America's hero, Buzz Aldrin, like, why would he, like, decay so much? And, like, yeah, you go read his biography or something that's, like, more official, and it will tell you how he, like, couldn't cope with his marriage and shit like that and stuff. But, like, you don't send a steely-eyed, like, test pilot from the military who's, like, flown fighter jets, like, someone who's got those cojones, and then who survived the first moon landing and walked on the moon. Like, you think he would be fazed, like, coming home and, like, having some marital problems? You think that would faze him? I mean, the more I say it, I know some military guys that are pretty rough and tough, and they can't handle a marriage either. But, like, they go into depression and other things like that from major PTSD, usually.
Yeah.
So who knows? But it's kind of weird.
It's a good theory.
It's kind of weird that he would just retrograde so much.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's all I got for you today, man.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, just...
Dude, you're barely taking us over an hour. I thought you were prepared.
Oh, I was prepared, man. It's just... there's just too many nails in this coffin. But really, if you want some entertaining stuff, go watch... they're hard to find. You have to spend some time finding these things.
They've been buried.
Because they've been buried. they're there, but because it's more fishy if they're going to take it away. But yeah, it's just kind of harder to find these days. They've covered them. So yeah, go look for like NASA slip-ups or like green screen failures on NASA, and you'll see weird stuff happening while they're at the International Space Station floating in space.
Dude, don't take that away from me, man, because I love Armageddon, right? When the guy's like, it's the Russian space. I guess it's the Russian space station. He's like, it's the Russian space station.
Yeah.
I don't know that guy's name, dude.
Well,
but
here's the thing.
It kills me.
I think they're real. They're just not what they're telling us.
Yeah.
I think there already is a secret space force. I think from the research I've done, I can't say it's true or not, but I think, and some of the evidence that I've looked at points to we already have facilities on the backside of the moon. It's like a port of entry for the globe.
Do you think that so we kind of I touched on this before, because I try to consume everything I can, Elon, because he's so like, I don't know, he's not like a person. I think he tries to be a personable dude, but he's just like, his personality is just off.
Yeah.
Right. And so for some reason I'm like drawn to him. Every time I see him talking or a clip, I always watch it.
Sure.
And there's that famous clip of him getting interviewed, and they're saying Buzz and these guys are like kind of crapping on him for doing SpaceX and wanting to, everything he wants to do with SpaceX and be in orbit and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he basically says, well, I wish that they would come down and see what we're doing. I think they'd be impressed. And he's like, and they're my heroes, and it hurts to.
Yeah, that's the clip where he gets a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Because the interviewer's like, does it hurt to have your role models, your heroes, like not acknowledge you?
And so,
like,
when I see that, I'm always like, well, do they not want him to go? Like him and Bezos are in the race now, right? It's not us and Russia. Yeah. It's him and Bezos. And it's like, I don't know. That part of it makes me think.
It's kind of interesting, and I might be wrong because I haven't researched Elon. I don't know what Musk's vision is.
Go to Mars.
I know he's going to Mars, but like I don't know if that entails. Is he going to stop at the moon?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he wants to put people on Mars.
Yeah, he wants to put people on Mars, but like, is he interested in going to the moon?
Yeah, I don't know.
And launching from the moon, it would make sense to shoot off the moon with lower gravity, less fuel, like whatever. So like, yeah, is that a thing that he wants to do?
I don't know. I haven't heard the moon part.
It's weird that he's not interested in the moon.
Yeah.
That would be a great logistical point. If you're trying to get to Mars, like, why not use the moon? Like, it would make sense. It's lower gravity. You can build more stuff. Things have different mass.
Elon, hit us up.
So, like, does he know something we don't know?
Yeah.
Is that why he wants to go to Mars and not the moon? Because, like, why aren't we not on the moon already? Why is there not a base, a habitat? We put dudes on there for, like, X amount of hours and got them back home safe. Why can't we duplicate that again?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. It's because we didn't.
Yeah, now
we either didn't or we did it in a different way that we don't know about.
Now we got billionaires that are building more efficient, cheaper, quicker than the government ever did.
I personally think that Elon Musk is going to be given some technology that maybe our government or whatever has already been using, or this entity, this Illuminati type cabal has already have. Because a lot of times they'll develop something, they'll find out something, and then they'll hand it over to the private sector at corporate levels. Because that's what capitalism does best, is innovate.
Yeah.
So you look at our cell phones, you look at everything there, it's like, let's take this technology and just give it to the public or give it to these specific corporations. And then you have things like these huge monopolies like Samsung and iPhone. Like, there are literally only two types of phones. Like, whereas there's no more innovation on this. This is just a rectangle. And go, what'd you get? Did you get a Samsung? Did you get an iPhone? And like, there's that feud. Like, oh, you like caveman, you use a Samsung? Like, I use Apple.
And I'm like, no, dude, I didn't get an Apple because all the high school girls have those.
Yeah, exactly. Do you use Samsung? Or yeah, me too. It's like, I'm like, I don't like turtlenecks. Sorry.
I don't drive a Volkswagen.
Yeah, I don't. So anyway, like there's all those jokes, but like really, it's honestly the same shit.
Yeah.
So it's just a rectangle with a front and back facing
cameras
camera, GPS location, voice recorder. Fuck Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's just got some apps that.
I just got put on like 6 lists.
Oh, dude.
Just by saying that.
Yeah, and you probably pinned me because I'm right next
Yeah.
to you.
Oh yeah, pinged you because we're on the same Wi-Fi. Like there's no innovation here because there's those 2 behemoth companies that own them. Right, but this technology, these microcircuits, that technology was like given to the public years ago, and then lithium-ion batteries started getting traction, started being more viable. They were probably R&D'd and developed somewhere, and then given to a corporation somehow, stumbled upon.
Well, they just gave SpaceX a government contract. I'm trying to think of what it was. And Bezos is suing for it, saying, why did he get it and we didn't? And
he's like, yeah, I'm richer.
Well, and
he's like, my rockets look more like penises.
Well, so they asked Elon, like, what do you think about that? And he said, he's never even been to orbit, so I think he should focus more on going to orbit than in the courtrooms.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude, that guy kills me, man.
I like Elon.
Yeah, they asked
I like
him,
what he stands for.
Yeah, they were at a summit and they were talking solar power. And he's talking about solar, and he's actually said, it's funny because we're from Utah, right? We're in southern Utah. And that he says, yeah, you could power the whole United States off of, I can't remember what the number is, but he's like, 200 or 2,000 kilometers of solar panels.
Yeah.
And he's like, you power the whole United States. And they were like, really? And he's like, yeah, like, I don't know, put it in Utah somewhere. There's not much going on there. I've been there. Yeah. I just started laughing. But he was talking about China. He was like, oh, yeah, you could just do solar panels and power all of China. Yeah. And they were like, you're telling me that with the population that's there and the power they use and this and this and this, they could power. And he's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could do that. I'm just like, dude, this guy kills me, man.
Yeah. But like the other problem, and he knows he's saying this, but like, he's saying, yeah, like theoretically it could happen. But like the amount of mining and industry it would take to get that much material.
True. And
the lithium ion to store the batteries that they use, they pull the solar energy into those batteries. Like if anybody's looked into solar, like that there's batteries that you have to install. That's the most expensive part of the whole thing is getting those big batteries because they're lithium ion. And China just through the Taliban got access to the biggest deposit in the whole world in Afghanistan. So
and we gave them a military to defend it.
Yeah, we lost $80 billion, countless lives over 20 years. Just fucking pieced out.
Yeah.
Just betrayed everybody we built relationships with. And
yeah, we were saying next time Biden's doing a military auction, maybe he should let us know. And he didn't even auction it off; he just gave it away. But I'm like, dude, I'll throw a bid on that.
Like pick a military base by your house and see if they're gonna have a yard sale anytime soon.
That'd be nice. You don't even have to take it to Afghanistan. I'll come and get it.
You can have a tank instead of your tax write-off. How about that?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. We'll even keep it functional for you. Some bullshit, dude. It's insane to me that that happened in August.
Yeah,
it hasn't even been a year.
Long ago.
And people are like, oh, doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, it's just what have you done for me lately? What's happened
What's
lately?
on the local programming?
Yeah, there you go.
What are they channeling me?
Beating COVID.
Yeah, that's what it is, dude.
Yeah.
You ever want to see programming in action? It's got there's 2 trains of thoughts when considering warfare. You have very much regular warfare. That's conventional. That's shooting guns, getting shot at, bullets, bombs, planes, tangible stuff. And then you have irregular warfare, which is espionage, subterfuge, propaganda. It goes so much deeper than what I'm telling you, but that's the 2 schools of thought there.
Yeah.
Irregular warfare and how you can influence an entire nation by changing their education system.
Yeah, and if you don't think it can happen, it just did.
It just did. Like generations of shitty dieting. Like Americans wondering why they don't have energy and time for their kids, and they're in the drive-thru every morning at McDonald's. Like the dieting, the things we eat, the things we allow, the chemicals we breathe in our home and in our products and like everything, that's all we have to go off of. It's like, what are the options? Well, avoid them, you know? But like, we have to live our lives according to what's around us. But like, you know, when you're on the road and you need something quick, you got to eat fast food sometimes.
Yeah.
It sucks. But
I got in a bad habit of that, going from I own a couple businesses, but I've really changed my mindset to being like, I own a couple jobs.
Yeah.
Like I do them all.
Yeah.
Right. And so like when I'm going from one thing to another, if I would even eat that day, it was something I'd just drive through or Maverick and grab something.
Time. Right. The convenience will win.
Yeah. 100%.
Every time. And so I think it's all by design. And that's where I lose people. They're like, you're crazy. There's no way people can coordinate that much. Or there's no way the government can keep a secret. I'm like, well, have you worked for the government?
Yeah. Let me tell you something.
Yeah. Let me tell you, like, just being in the Marines, like, I never knew what the fuck was going on. That's the military. It's the ranks. Yeah, but that happens. Like, people are told what they need to know, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like that example I was talking about, right?
Your need to know basis.
Yeah, so like if the context isn't shipped over and packaged with you, okay, McDonald's, like, they hire some new scientist guy to, like, you know, make their hamburger preserve for 40 years like they do. Like, at some point, there was a guy hired at McDonald's who figured out how to preserve meat for a long time. Okay, that we can use this now, like, cool. And like, if the right people get involved, then conspiring can be a thing.
Sure.
Like, how can we influence Americans to make them the weakest possible adversary for us? Well, we can make them eat like shit, right? Over generations, we can influence this change. And if you think that's absurd, like, you don't understand the word conspire. You don't understand the 50 to 100-year plans that the CIA have, that China has. China has a 100-year plan to take over the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they are in that process, but it's been there. Like, the KGB has done so much subterfuge and damage to this country. Like, people were defecting from Russia in the 70s and 80s, coming over and telling us to our fucking faces the KGB's doing this, and nobody cared. Like, you can find these people too all over the internet. You can go watch these old school videos from the 70s and 80s, and some Coke bottle glasses professor from Russia who's KGB was like, let me tell you about what's going on over there. You know? He just talks to you about it.
Dude, have you seen the TikTok China stuff, what they're talking about with that?
Yeah.
Where, like, in China, it's all, and we may have talked about this on here, I don't remember now, but apparently, I've not been to China, right?
Yeah.
But apparently in China, a lot of the TikTok stuff is like informational things.
It is.
And then here, it's all like stupid dances and you know,
the algorithm's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So over in China, the algorithm will reward smart things, productive things, and things that educate the general populace.
Dude, if that's not one of the most brilliant plays I've ever heard of.
That is irregular warfare, my friend. That is subterfuge. It's sabotage from within. And look at how stupid. Like, and this is fully meant to offend anybody who's listening right now who thinks college is worth anything these days. There's like maybe 5 career paths that need college degrees because they make sense still. But anything that's taught from most colleges, like, and I have some family that are professors, and like, if you're listening to this is very much meant to offend you. College education is fucking worthless these days. It's been infiltrated by irregular warfare. This is what I majored in, was these types of warfare in the Marine Corps, and then also working for some agencies, working for Uncle Sam. A lot of years doing that. In irregular warfare, they've infiltrated our education system before you and I were even born.
Right.
Right? The stage was set. And look at the vast acceleration of, like, stupidity. Just like these absurd topics. Like, our country is obsessed with genitals.
Yeah.
And gender. Why?
Yeah. You think in China they don't know what bathroom to go to?
Yeah.
That's a
no,
thing?
I think they know. I think anybody who's like, maybe I'm a boy, maybe I'm a girl, I think they get put to
They
death.
probably just off them
in China.
100%.
Yeah. And I'm like, if there's people out there struggling, that's one thing. But, like, it's such a minority.
Do you think that...
It doesn't need to be in public education.
Yeah, because this is my thought, though. Like, and I think this might be like a school-to-school type of thing or a teacher-to-teacher type of thing. But, like, I know teachers. I have friends that are teachers. And I just think, like, do they know this is going on? Or not even maybe do they know, but, like, are they aware of it?
I think the awareness is going up. Yeah.
Like,
but that's the thing. It's so small, so micro incremental, right? Over years and years and years and generations.
yeah. Well, so
it changes.
I've got Abram that works for me at the store. I talk about him often on the podcast. He's 17, and so he's in high school, right? And he'll bring stuff to me and just be like, "Yeah, this is what we're talking about with this and this and this," so we had a talk today, and I just thought, like, just take math, right? We were always told, well, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket, right? And now we do. It's on our phones, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then apparently there's, like, apps now that you can take a picture of a math problem and it'll give you the answer. And you can choose for it to, like, show you the work and everything.
Yeah.
And so my thought is, like, how can any math teacher out there, and please, if you've got an answer for this, let me know, because I don't understand it. How can any math teacher out there think that, like, what they're teaching is useful, and that you need to take up not only an hour of the kid's day to teach them, but then send them with homework? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, sure, there's some things in schools that you probably need to know, like basic math. I get it.
Oh,
you probably should know that.
Well, even this guy who wrote this book, Napoleon Hill, that's Outwitting the Devil, by the way, great book. He wrote Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. And he says multiple times in his works, multiple books, that the rich people like Andrew Carnegie and like Henry Ford and like all the people that of his era that were like some of the wealthiest people, a lot of them said similar things as to like what the public education does. Like that whole system could be done in like 5 years.
Sure.
4 years, 2 years. Like it could be done a lot less. And like we could spend time teaching our citizens like practical skills and other practical things, understanding them, teaching them about finances.
That's the biggest one
lending,
for me, man.
Credit, like all the stuff that our financial system is built on.
Yeah, but I believe that they want you to be handicapped.
Oh, totally. Because
right?
they have all the cards. If we're playing Go Fish, or like if we're playing poker and you don't have cards in your hand, but I do, like it's not really poker.
Or I know your cards.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
I only gave you the cards I wanted you to have. That's the better way to put it.
Yeah, they want to be the dealer.
Yeah.
They want to be the house. And the house always has the best odds. So if we're dumb, then we won't ever win. So that's what, like, you can get real selective on TikTok, though. You can defeat the algorithms and get rid of all the titties and the booty shaking. Get rid of all the dumb dances of, like, people doing this.
Yeah, like, I would rather just have mine, like, Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk.
Yeah,
and like those kinds of things
Jocko
coming through.
Willink,
Jocko.
like all those guys. Grant
Eric
Cardone.
Thomas.
Yeah, Eric Thomas. Yeah, I heard him at a convention.
Live?
Door-to-door convention, live.
Dude, I'm jealous, bro.
Man, it was awesome. Yeah.
He's kind of the first one that got me into listening to podcasts and YouTube and all of that, yeah.
Dude, yeah, he's got so much energy, like, on the stage. And he says it. He's like, I'm the number one public speaker in the world. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
You're up there. Like, definitely. So, yeah, all that stuff can be, you just have to go find it and choose to set down, to put away the Instagram or like focus those social media platforms, because the algorithm won't do it for you like it will in China. You have to go pursue it. You have to go pursue financial knowledge. Like, I have so many wealthy uncles, and my dad's done well and my grandpa's done well. And like, I've never sat down and talked with them about finances. And
they've never sat you down or anything.
No, I think one time we did with my dad, because we were doing like the finance merit badge.
Sure.
Like in our scout troop.
Yeah.
And he works at a bank, so he was the guy. And like he's told me some money advice, but it's like just save your money and pay your bills.
See, that's interesting because I've always kind of put it to like that the knowledge wasn't there to be told to me. Like, does that make sense? So like my grandparents do pretty well. They've done really well. He's built a fortune a number of times and lost it a number of times is how he puts it.
Yeah.
But like it was really my brother Adam that pulled me aside when I was like 17 and said, hey dude, like this is credit. This is how it works. You need to get a credit card. You need to be smart. You need to, and that's what I've done my whole life off of what he told me when I was 17.
And I can't remember his name, but the guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
He's that Asian guy. Mm-hmm. His works have been insane to me, but like he talks about it. He's like lending or borrowing money is what makes the economy go.
Right.
It's what creates new dollars. And that's what the system is built upon. And we've been told, because there is such thing as good debt and bad debt.
Sure.
Right? And we've been told so many times to avoid the bad debt. And our parents' generation is like,
or just avoid debt altogether.
Never get in debt.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got Dave Ramsey and his freaking cuckold mouth out there on the radio, like, well, save your money.
Right.
Pay off your house. Like, that's not, it's some wisdom in that about managing your money.
I think it depends on what your goals are.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's your goal,
have
your house paid for.
That's right. That's a good point. So maybe, I'm sorry, David.
No, but I'm with you
Dave
though.
Ramsey.
But I know people that are that way.
Yeah, but if your goal is to get out of debt, then go listen to Dave Ramsey.
Right.
If your goal is to become wealthy, don't listen to Dave Ramsey. It's like the most crippling thing because, like, in my industry, I offer a home improvement product that will boost someone's equity through the roof. And I cut the price down so low for some of these promotions. And I'm like, look, you're netting 18% profit on your equity. Your house will increase in value this much. So you paid here and you're getting this much back. And they're like, well, it's not guaranteed to get your equity back. Yeah, if the market's crashing. It's not.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's not going to. It crashed in 2008 because of some stupid greed. But there's laws in place now to stop that from happening. So this current market home going up, like you could ask anybody in real estate and they're like, it's different. They're like, it's not going to go down.
Yeah.
It'll plateau. Maybe it will decrease a little bit, but crashing, out of the question.
Crashing like 08?
Yeah, like 2008. I mean, anything could always crash, but I think it would have to crash due to some catastrophic event somewhere. Yeah. World War III, blah, 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 something like that.
Like maybe California might crash a little bit, but we're not because everyone's moving here.
Yeah. That's a whole nother aspect of irregular warfare that I think is happening. And then once you get these stupid social ideas and these things that just destroy an economy and
that's not to shit on everyone from California. It's just a fact.
Yeah, it's just a fact. And like I think most people from California have left or plan on it. But yeah, that's it's just careening out of control now. It's almost like it's like when you push a boulder down a hill, it just has enough momentum to keep going in that direction. So the irregular warfare part is like, how do we set the stage to get that boulder moving, and then it goes and does its own thing. Yeah. It's like out of control. So like, I don't think some KGB guy in the 50s was like, yes, we'll make them really care about gender and genitalia. That's what we'll focus. Do. I think they just set the stage and that's what took traction.
Yeah. I think, right. So my belief, and I'll get a little conspiracy on my belief too.
Get it out there.
With COVID and the election, and I voted for Trump. I've said it on here before. I don't think Putin would be doing what he's doing right now if Trump was still there. I believe that. Like I saw on a press conference today, they asked Biden, have you spoke to Putin or do you have plans to speak with Putin? And he's like, nope. And again, I'm like, okay, he's already doing what he's doing, but like, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, you wouldn't even like be like, hey, bro, what's your plan? Like, and it was funny too because he said they're sanctioning him, right? And they came out with new sanctions today on Putin. And then someone asked him, what do you think the sanctions are going to do? Or like the prior sanctions that you put on him, what do you think they're going to do? And he was like, the sanctions were never put there to stop him. Or no, and he didn't say that. He said, we didn't think that he would stop because of the sanctions. They weren't put there thinking he would stop. I think that's how he said it. And then like 2 questions later, they were like, so when you put those sanctions on him, you didn't think he was going to stop? And then he like contradicts himself. And I'm like, dude, like you can't write this stuff, you know?
No.
Yeah. And I understand I'm fed pro-Trump. I'm fed, red, America, Republican, conservative. Yeah. Like I'm part of the algorithm and I'm fed all of that, right? Mm-hmm. Like I see things on social media. Like a popular one is you'll see people get on a Instagram live or a TikTok live, whatever that one's called. And they'll just have like a list of things. Like the one yesterday I saw, it said, Biden has beaten. And then it was like COVID, gas prices, inflation, and like had this whole list of stuff. And I'm just like, I listened to it for about 3 seconds, but
and you're like,
I was just like, dude, they can't possibly think that this is accurate. But then my mind goes to, well, they're totally fed one thing by an algorithm.
Yes.
And I'm totally fed another thing.
Exactly.
Like, I'm like, is there a middle ground? Or, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's interesting too.
You just described irregular warfare. The concept of divide and conquer is that granular.
Yeah.
You can go that low. So like, yeah, how? Because I've asked myself this probably a dozen times during COVID and the elections, the last 2.
Yeah.
How can anybody with any type of logical thinking come to these conclusions? Well, the answer is, and I know the answer, and I have to remind myself consistently, yeah. We're fed different realities.
Yep.
You tune in, it's like you're on a different radio station that's saying the world's on fire, and my radio station's saying, everything is rainbow and unicorns.
Right.
So that's what we think is real. Right? They're telling us different visions. Different channels are programming us, right? It's funny how those words keep coming up.
Right.
They're telling us what they want us to know. They want the divide to be here. And that's where it is. You're tuned into social media. Like this is a mind control device to some extent.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
Right?
Everything on that thing is. It's like, to take your attention.
I can't get away from this thing. I have to use it for work. And it's so convenient. Like otherwise I'm carrying this around.
Right.
Or something worse, like something bigger. So we're kind of like, we're just trapped, really. We can't communicate. There's literal invisible barriers in front of us in our society. And those barriers, they're not tangible. We can't take them down. If there was a fence between you and I, and we could yell, I'm like, hey, I can't see you, but pick up a hammer and I'll pick up a hammer and we'll bash this fence down. That's better. Now we can communicate and share ideas to the fullest extent.
Well, and now we're even further past that where I don't think that you can even have a conversation with someone.
No, you can't.
I mean, someone far left and far right couldn't even sit down and have a conversation.
No, if they're under the spell, right? I
think that's how you get to the far, right?
Yeah. If the programming is working, if they have their blinders on like this, and they're just perceiving their reality, you won't be able to converse with them. Same thing with our guys, right? On the right and the left. And it's so funny that we call them the right and the left. What does that imply? Like it's the same thing with biblical, like the right hand of God, the left hand of God. Right? And it's like, it's implying one person with 2 hands. Same thing, the right and the left, the conservative right and the liberal leaning left. Well, like, are these hands? Like, who's the puppet master controlling both of those puppets, a donkey and an elephant or whatever? You get my point. So, like, the 2-party system is completely flawed.
Oh, it's set up to.
Yeah.
Divide.
So, like, I was happy to see a guy like Trump get in office. It was something new. It was something in the mix. I was like, get these career politicians out of here. Let's try somebody new. But, like, the truth of it is, and this is where I lose people, too, and they sit there and call me a conspiracy theorist. But, like, 1 + 1 is 2. And if I'm crazy for saying that, this plus this equals this, then I don't think I'm crazy, And I don't need constant reminders, and I don't need people's validation to tell me that I belong to society in some way.
Yeah.
If I can see what's going on, like, you can't hand me a piece of shit and tell me it's a fudge sundae. Like, I'm gonna know whether I'm not swayed, or I'd like to think I'm not swayed by what other people think of me. Everyone is to some degree, but I've shed that off as much as possible, and I'm still shedding it off. But I don't care. I'm not Republican and I'm not Democrat, because I know the two-party system is flawed. Give me any Republican candidate, and I'll give them the middle finger. Any left-leaning Democrat, I'll give them the middle finger. They don't have the interests of the American people in mind.
Right.
They don't give a shit about our Constitution. They don't give a shit about our rights. Like, they might say they do, but they are led astray themselves. You can get the most, like, the red, white, and blue, most truest American who knows the Declaration of Independence, and he knows the Constitution in and out. Like, you get him in the political game, and he's going to lose focus. He's going to be blocked. He's going to be redirected. He's going to be turned around, turned into a pretzel, funded, bought out, lobbied. Like, we are not in control. And our elections have been probably skewed and tampered with our entire lives. Even our parents' lives.
For sure.
Yeah, our lives for sure.
Yeah, I don't think
Right?
there's any... I don't think anyone would argue with that.
Yeah, you think it was just old people who couldn't fill out ballots in the early 2000s election when it was George Bush and Al Gore?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's the old people in Florida. No, they were waiting for their people to create the ballots, to create the deficit, to change the outcome.
Well, I think we just saw that again, right?
We just saw it again, and it's been more apparent, right? They're going to put who they want in.
Right.
The puppet master is controlling. They're just asking us to make us feel comfy.
So then what do you think about Trump then? Because I don't think they wanted him in.
I think Trump was a concerted effort by a lot of people who see this corruption, who are in high-ranking military positions, who are in areas of the CIA, the FBI, the NSA. It's basically QAnon. I didn't even know QAnon was a thing until like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But I've been preaching QAnon. Like, it's happening. And there are rings of pedophilia. There are rings of things like that. There's corruption at an unprecedented level, but it's become so normalized it's hard for people to see. And we're naive. And we're so wrapped up in our visions that they're telling us. We're programmed. They're channeling the programming to us.
Yeah, since the 60s.
Yeah, since the 60s. And it's changed. It's anything that puts out a visual medium.
Yep.
An audio medium. That's why podcasting, audio is a lot harder. Because you have to pay more attention. Like, you have to use your own imagination. You're using your own brain to television. If I'm describing to you, if you're on Spotify right now and I'm describing to you a red flyer wagon going down a hill and a little kid wearing goggles on his head, and even if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm not giving you that image. You have to picture it in your mind. A kid wearing a World War I flight helmet with the scarf, and he's cruising down a hill on a red flyer wagon. Like, you're picturing that in your mind. I'm not telling you a vision. Well, I'm not showing you a vision.
Yeah.
I'm telling you an image, and you're building it. That's why podcasting has taken off. That's why Joe Rogan has the almost full attention of the entire nation. 11 million people tuning in every time he podcasts.
And he does it daily? I think he's almost daily.
Does he do it daily?
Dude, he does it a ton.
I know he releases clips and stuff daily. I don't know if he podcasts every day, though.
Look at that, Mal,
Dude.
if you can. I think he might be daily.
Is he doing it daily?
I mean, because I've seen times where he's like, well, who do you have on tomorrow? And like stuff like that. And I'm like,
yeah, because I think what he'll do is he'll record like for 4 days in a row with like 6 guests.
Maybe that's what it is.
And then he takes a break and cuts it out.
Because I'm like, how do you, like, dude, we do it once a week. And I'm like, how do you have time for that?
Yeah, because if he dedicates like 1 week a month to like recording and cutting clips and episodes. Because I've done that on my my gaming podcast that I do. And when I kick off, I'm going to be doing a conspiracy podcast soon. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in and record once a day for a week.
Yeah.
And build up 5 to 6 episodes. So.
And then start walking them out.
Yeah, I'm off for the next six weeks.
Yeah.
And then
same thing for Joe Rogan.
He does
says
this-
it's pre-recorded several days in advance.
So, okay, cool. Yeah, so, but he's capturing the audiences because we're sick of this programming coming out of these screens. I think it's this subconscious movement that humanity's doing out of like pure survival. We're like, something's not right. We need to find the truth.
Yeah.
And so we're flocking to that.
You want to know? So there's a, let's call it a hiccup with Rogan right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they're taking episodes of his off of Spotify. And,
Yeah, it's
and
a concerted effort to get him off the air, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was part of his contract, is that everything came and he wasn't censored and he can do what he wants.
Oh, and he was paid up front too.
Yeah.
So he can literally take his money and walk.
Well, and so this is what I was thinking this the other day when I kind of thought about this, and there's talk about the UFC. To my knowledge, they didn't. It's not that they kept him from announcing the last UFC, but I think he just stepped away from it.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I could be wrong. But I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, Spotify, dude, like kick him off if that's what you want to do, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know how cool it would be? Because I think the first person he reaches out to or reaches out to him is my main man, Elon.
Yeah.
And Elon says, Rogan, dude, we're going to take over the information in the United States.
They
We're
could.
going to take it over. And then he's going to be like, hey, we're hiring engineers, we're hiring podcast, whatever, producers, whatever. And him and Rogan just run with it, and maybe they get like Ben Shapiro involved and, or whatever. I'm just throwing this out there, but like you get this thing and they, with his,
Yeah, because Daily Wire, I was just looking him up, right?
Yeah.
That's Ben Shapiro's thing.
Right.
He's like producing movies.
oh yeah.
Yeah. What was the one? Daily Wire movies?
But I'm just thinking like, man, this could go a totally different way. And then it's not even on with the resources that Elon would bring to the table. You couldn't combat him.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, that's right. There's a Daily Wire movie coming out soon.
Is it not out yet? Or they've probably done more than one.
No, it's out. It released January 14th
Okay.
of 2021. So
yeah,
it's been
last
out for
year.
a while. Yeah, I'm behind on that.
I was
But
gonna
yeah,
say I'm
that's
pretty
right.
sure they've released them.
Yeah, so they're kind of like fighting back because
Yeah, creating their own platforms.
yeah, because if you think about it, I'm really glad we started the podcast off talking about that old druidic stuff, telling a vision, casting, programming, channeling, like that's all witchcraft shit. And it's funny that the words are tied to that, right? Because that's we're denying their programming.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to break away from this stuff.
Right.
It's literally like we're trying to wake up from the Matrix.
Yeah.
And there's this like subconscious effort to find the truth now, and they're realizing they're outnumbered. And if people can learn to break away from this, the reality that's being force-fed to them, if they can wake up
Yeah.
and see that like neither side is right. In fact, to bring him up again, Napoleon Hill, in this book as well, he talks about how when two men are arguing or two people are arguing, usually the answer is somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
Always. And we've failed. We don't know how to do that anymore as a society.
Right.
We don't. It's all. Anyway, that's another topic. But yeah, it's super interesting because why is Joe Rogan's podcast so hot? Why is it so desired? Why do people tune in?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's not part of their programming. It's something where truth can abide. It's a taste of reality. Like, oh, whoa. Like, let's step back and have mature conversations about things.
Right. Well, it's like if you can have people from Jocko to the CNN Gupta guy to Bernie Sanders to I think Don Jr.'s been on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Donald's even been on there. I could be wrong about that. I don't think
Donald
maybe he
J.
hasn't.
Trump.
Yeah.
I don't think he has.
I think his son has.
Maybe.
Anyway, I'm just like you have a huge variety, to athletes to MMA to scientists,
Psychedelics, all the way.
psychedelics, everything.
Yeah.
Like who doesn't want to get on and listen to probably the widest range
Exactly. And
of
not every
information.
episode intrigues me, and I'm sure that's
Sure.
how everybody feels.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, but it's such a wide variety, and you're like, and it's just like these controversial topics.
Alex Jones,
Yeah, Alex Jones has been on there.
a few times.
Yeah, and like I'm pretty sure Alex Jones could rant about the moon landing too.
Oh, I'm
He could
sure.
rant about everything. But it's these things that they're trying to cram down our throats, right? And these major events like the moon landing, JFK's assassination, fucking 9/11,
Yeah.
everything else. Like, it's just, we need to pay attention to this stuff.
Well, it's how many people Trump's killed, and it's how many people Biden saved, and from COVID,
And COVID and all. Yeah, they just want control.
Yeah.
Really, ultimately. For what ends, don't know. Don't think we'll ever know.
well, I think it. Yeah, for what ends, it's just so they're in control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Gain, all that stuff. So I guess the moral of the story is like question everything. Did you ever play any video games growing up, like on Xbox?
Sure.
Like Halo, or did you ever
Hey.
play Assassin's Creed?
My brother did. I
Yeah.
played it once or twice, but Jason really got into it.
He
But I
got
love the
into it.
movie.
Oh yeah, the movie was good. It
Yeah.
was pretty good. It was entertaining. But the storyline in Assassin's Creed is pretty cool. But there's a line in there that he says, he's that Italian guy. His name's Ezio Auditore da Firenze. I love that. That's a great story arc. But he says, he's teaching his fellow assassins, and he says, nothing is true. Everything is permitted. And in that sense, you could interpret that a lot of ways. But in the sense of this agenda that's being pushed on us, nothing is true, and everything is permitted, as far as like everything is allowed. Every type of success, every freedom is permitted to me. I'm still within the means of the law. I'm not going to go murder people and break the laws, but like, I am permitted to become wealthy. I'm permitted to have freedoms and to have rights.
Yeah.
I'm permitted. Everything is afforded. It's permitted. All the sacrifice of all of our ancestors building this nation, like, they were all immigrants. They all came here to build this country. In fact, Eric Thompson, he says that 75%, if you're born in America, or if you're in America right now, 75% of the work is already done for you. You just have to do the other 25%. And
I believe that for sure.
yeah, it's powerful when you hear about it. You're like, how am I doing just 25% of what it takes to be successful?
Yeah.
There's already supply chains. There's already an economy. There's already banking. There's already lending. There's already products being made. There's already manufacturing. I just need to tap into these things, and I can create a business. I can do all this stuff. I can build a house. I can have a property. Like in other places in the world, you can't.
Oh,
You can't do
100%.
that. You know?
You can't even dream of having that.
Yeah, how are you gonna make microchips if you live in Guatemala?
Yeah.
You're not. Like, you got to have some big friends in high places to do that. You'd probably go somewhere else to have your microchips made.
Right.
So, anyway, that's all I got for you today, man. Just moon
All
landing.
right.
We got on some good topics there, though.
Yeah, we got a couple hours in. We're 2 hours.
Are we?
I'm fine with that. If we
Yeah.
want to sign off,
Sweet.
you're good with that?
I'm great with that.
All
yeah.
right, man. Well, dude, thanks for I was going to say thanks for coming, but you're already here. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you guys don't know already, but Blue Form Media is Mal's company, and Mal's my fiance, so I'm kind of guilty by association.
right. You're kind of around.
I'm around. Yeah.
You're available.
Yeah, my blood, sweat, and tears went into this place,
Yep.
so it was just Mal's money.
Yeah. Big hand in it though, for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but thanks for having me on your show, dude. I
Yeah.
think you and I should podcast more in some other facets as well and see what we can come up with.
Well, and you and Duffy are tied now, so
yes.
yeah,
tell him what up. Hey,
Good old Duffy,
we're
dude.
tied now. What are you going to do?
Okay, man. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up. We'll be back next week with. I don't know if we have next week lined up yet.
Not yet. I'm working on it.
I'd say we've been pretty. So people don't know this because we air one every week, right? But we've been trying to get this done for like a week and a half, and I felt like trash.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
That's right. You were sick.
like, even the last couple of days, I'm like, I just got to do it. Like, I feel like crap, but I'm just gonna have to go and just do it. And then Amanda was on call, And so I pushed us another day, and I'm glad we did, dude, because I feel 10 times better today than I did yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like it was good timing. We had some stuff.
Like, I think I went to sleep at 9 o'clock last night.
Oh, wow.
Like, I did an update on my phone at like 8:30 and fell asleep. And so I was asleep for 2 hours by now. We're at 10 o'clock at night. So.
Oh, dang. Yeah, dang.
All right, man. Appreciate you. We'll have you on again. Obviously, the resident.
Let's go round 4 sometime.
The resident guest.
Yeah, your default guest.
All right, guys. If you're still here after 2 hours, maybe give us a like. Maybe comment Blake's the best. And then we'll know that you've stuck around that long. And thanks. We'll see you next week.
See ya.